Imagine you're inside a Freddy Fazbear's Pizzeria at night and have to survive for 6 hours. Which room would you pick to survive the night? Most people will probably say the security office, since they are meant to protect a person. But are they actually the safest place in a Freddy's Pizzeria? Let's find that out. In this video I'm going to find out what the safest rooms are in every FNAF game, checking out which rooms are the best to survive a night against these killer animatronics. An important rule when checking out the safest room in each FNAF game is that you cannot exit the establishment. You have to survive a night. I also give each spot a percentage of how likely you are to survive. Now most of FNAF games have a security office, but they're not always the safest place to hide from the animatronics. There are other rooms that may be better to stay in for the night. So let's find out which rooms those are. Starting with FNAF 1. The FNAF 1 pizzeria isn't very big, which means there aren't many rooms to pick from. Looking at the map, the animatronics are able to access any room in the building. There isn't a place where the animatronics can't catch you. I think the most obvious room you don't want to hide in is the parts and service room. This is literally the place where you end up if you lose the game. I also think you will get traumas looking at these horrifying heads of the animatronics. You could hide in the kitchen, so we have no idea what the room looks like. But the animatronics are able to enter the room, and hearing Chica roaming around the kitchen, she will probably find you hiding inside a cabinet. The safest pick is definitely the security office. Here you can close doors to prevent the animatronics from coming in, and there is a locker in the back you can hide in if the power runs out. But it's definitely not 100% safe. First of all, you have limited power, which means you can't close the doors for the whole night. Second, you make a lot of noise in there, which alerts the animatronics and ruins your hiding spots. And as last, the animatronics can be quite fast, which means you need good reflexes to close the doors on time. Otherwise, you end up in one of the suits. I would say you have a 60-70% chance of surviving the night. It depends of course on how aggressive the animatronics are. Actually, there is another spot in this pizzeria, which is probably more safe than the security office. It's a room that isn't located on the map and the cameras. It's only shown in the FNAF 3 minigame. Behind the bathroom hall, there's a secret room that hides the Spring Bunny costume. This is probably the room William Afton uses to kidnap and murder children. In FNAF 3, we get to know that William Afton gets spring-locked in this room. But at the time we're playing FNAF 1, the corpse isn't there yet. So if you can find a way to get inside this room, you'll be totally safe in there. The animatronics also can't enter this room because they are programmed not to go inside, as seen in the FNAF 3 minigame. There are even some old arcades in there which help you to pass the time. The only threat here in this room is the Spring Bunny costume, because it can be deadly if you wear it. But I don't think anyone would want to try that. So I'll say there's a 100% chance of surviving the night in this room. There isn't really a safe spot in FNAF 2. Even the security office is very unsafe. There are no doors to close yourself in, and there are 3 ways to get inside the office. Yes, you have a Freddy mask to trick the animatronics, but I don't think you can keep that up all night. Especially when you have to deal with 10 animatronics at the same time. And not forgetting that you also have to blind Foxy and wind up the music box for the puppet. I'll say you've got a 10% chance of surviving the night in this office. Now is there a safer place you could hide in this pizzeria? Not really. There isn't a room where the animatronics don't have access to, so you have to hide somewhere clever. The animatronics in this pizzeria are scattered around in different rooms. The toys are on stage, the widgets are inside parts and surface, Balloon Boy is somewhere close to the entrance, and Mangle is inside a special room. If I needed to pick a spot here to hide, I would choose the bathrooms. Even though the animatronics can probably come in here, we've never seen one going inside. So maybe they are scared of toilets, who knows. FNAF 2 is not a big establishment, so them finding you wouldn't take long, unless they are very bad at hide and seek. I think there's about 15% chance of surviving the night in the bathrooms. Overall, FNAF 2 is definitely not a safe place to spend the night in. Same goes with FNAF 3. You're trapped inside a very small establishment while there's a psychopath on the loose. Also, this security office doesn't have a door and there are 2 ways to get inside. You can distract Springtrap with sounds, but realistically that could never work for 6 hours straight. Your insanity will also increase because of the phantom animatronics, making it harder to think how to survive the night. And don't forget the constant errors you get on your screen that alarm Springtrap. But even though this does sound like an unsafe place, I think it's your best chance to survive the night. This horror attraction is so small that hiding somewhere is no option. Springtrap will find you. Even inside the ventilation, you're not safe against this killer bunny. I do think that the survival chance is a bit higher than FNAF 2. Instead of dealing with 10 animatronics, you now have to focus on 1. Of course, it also depends on how well you can handle hallucinations. If you get easily scared of the phantoms, you probably won't survive the night. The FNAF 3 office has in my opinion a 25% chance for survival. You definitely need to be logged in to survive the night. Now FNAF 4 is a bit tricky, because the question is if it takes place in a dream or a testing chamber hidden inside Sys location. I know there will be a lot of debate on this, but I'm going with the testing chamber, because that's a theory I believe in and makes the question what is the safest room logical. Also, let's just assume the nightmares are real and not some sort of prop that looks different when you inhale the gas. So now what's the safest spot to survive the night? We know FNAF 4 is the smallest location. It's literally a bedroom with 2 halls and a room in the back. So there's not much option for picking a room. I think it's obvious you want to stay in the bedroom. It's not safe to leave the room because the animatronics are waiting for you. Now you could survive the night like you do in the game, but I think that's way too hard and is probably impossible. So your only safe option is to hide somewhere. The most obvious place to hide is the closet. It's big enough to fit in and can be a good hiding spot. But unfortunate, if you don't pay attention to Foxy, he will also enter the closet and find your hiding spot. Another place where you could hide is underneath the blankets. But this is also not a smart move, since the Fraddles spawn on top of your bed and summon Nightmare Freddy. The only place with a small chance of survival is under the bed, if you fit underneath it of course. Nightmare Freddy won't catch you since he only spawns on top of the bed. And because the Nightmatronics are quite huge, they probably have troubles bending over. I think the only one that could catch you here is Foxy and Nightmare Cupcake. So let's say the survival chance for this spot is 50%. There are only 2 animatronics that can kill you and they first need to find you. Since the location has a lot of rooms to choose from, there are quite safe ones and ones that you want to avoid at all costs. The problem in this facility is that the Phantom animatronics are way more advanced than the animatronics in the first 4 FNAF games. So hiding in this establishment is almost impossible. You would say the primary control module is pretty safe, since there are no big doors that connect to the room, only small vents. But the danger here is that the Biddy Babs and Minorinas are small enough to enter the vents. You can close the hatch, but the Biddy Babs have the strength to open them. You definitely want to avoid the Phantom Auditorium and Ballora Gallery, since the Phantom animatronics are literally there. The Scoop Room is also not an option, because it's very dangerous and the animatronics can't show up there. The only logical place that looks safe to stay in are the elevator and the private room. To get in the elevator, you have to go through the ventilation, meaning the Phantom animatronics are not able to go in there. The only ones that can reach the elevator are the Biddy Babs. But the elevator doors are much bigger and stronger than the ventilation hatch, so the Biddy Babs will have a hard time opening this door. There are windows inside this elevator, which means they could break the glass and enter the room. It all depends on how strong and thick the glass is. But knowing that's inside an elevator, I think they are pretty strong. I'll say there's an 85% chance of surviving the night inside the elevator. I also said that the private room could be pretty safe. Because first of all, you need an access key to get inside. If you don't have one, the door stays locked. So assume you got one and entered the room. What would happen next? Well, we know from the game that the end boss fight takes place in here, which means this room is not safe at all. But it's only happened on the last night. So let's say we enter this room on night 2. Is there still any danger in here? Not really. Once you've reached the private room, there is no way an animatronic can enter this place. It's honestly still weird how Anna got in here, because if you look at the map, the only way to get inside is by using the locked door. There's only one problem with this room, and that's the way inside. To get in here, you have to pass Ballora, so it's not 100% safe. I'll say the survival chance for this spot is also 80%. Once you pass Ballora, nothing can happen to you. FNAF 6 is probably the most safest place to spend a night in. Think about it. The main 4 animatronics that can actually kill you are trapped in the ventilation system. So as long as you don't enter the office and lock the door, you're completely safe. Now yes, you can say that you're the one that keeps the animatronics safely inside the ventilation. But Mike doesn't spend his whole day in the pizzeria. So unless someone takes his shift over, it's not sure if the person inside the office keeps the animatronics at bay. And otherwise, if they're not all at the location, and once outside the alley, you're still very safe. There is no way the animatronic can go inside if the doors are locked. Also, there's absolutely no danger in the main room. Well, it depends on what you're buying. So as long as you stay away from the office and salvage room, you're 100% safe for the night. UCN takes place in some sort of hell, so technically you're already dead. There's also no way you're surviving 50-20 mode IRL. So very simple, there's a 0% chance of surviving UCN, no matter which room you pick. Help Wanted and Help Wanted 2 are both tricky ones. They are both VR games, but the first one is an actual VR game in the lore, and the second one never existed apart from the endings. So what is a safe place to be in those VR games? Well, it's very simple, the hub. You cannot get jump scared or killed here, so it's technically the safest place. Now of course, Help Wanted is a bit less safe than the second one, because of Glitchtrap. He is able to take over your mind. So for Help Wanted, I'll say it's a 70% safe. If you don't interact with the glitch, you can survive it. Security Breach has the biggest establishment from all the FNAF games. The Pizzaplex is huge. So that means enough places to hide, right? Well, even though there are hundreds of rooms to choose from, most of these rooms are accessible for the animatronics, meaning you won't survive in there. So which rooms are safe to stay in for the night? Let's first check out which rooms you absolutely want to avoid at all cost. Obviously, you don't want to go into the sinkhole. It's unstable down there, meaning rocks could fall onto your head. Also, one of the most dangerous animatronics is down there that can easily rip your head off. You also want to avoid the sewers. It stinks there so much that you could never stand it for 6 hours straight. Fanny also got a hideout there, so she could easily find you, and if she doesn't, there are still nightmare bots patrolling the area. Every security office at this place is also not safe. The doors have so little power that they can't even stay closed for more than 5 minutes. Monty Gator Golf is another spot you definitely want to avoid. Even though it looks very comfortable to spend the night at, it's filled with staff bots. It's one of the places in the Pizzaplex that's most secured, so getting caught there is almost certain. This also counts for the West Arcade. This place again is filled with staff bots. And to make it worse, there is a gigantic spider animatronic crawling around that can easily kill you. Now there is a spot here in the West Arcade that can actually be pretty safe to spend the night at. I'm talking about the back room with all the stored and broken arcades. Now I know what you're going to say. There is a gigantic tube back there where a music band can easily fit through. And yes, that's true. But when you enter the West Arcade for the first time, you can see Music Man sleeping. He only wakes when you trigger the security protocol. So as long as you avoid the trigger inside the security office, you'll be safe. This spot has an 85% chance for survival. There is still a chance one of the Glamrock animatronics shows up here. Another spot that could save you from the Glamrock animatronics is Freddy's room. We know Freddy doesn't want to harm you like the rest of the animatronics. So if you hide with him inside his room, almost nothing can happen. When a Glamrock animatronic decides to visit Freddy in his room, you can quickly hide inside the charging station. After Freddy tells him to go away, you can chill again on the couch. I'll say this spot has a 90% chance for survival. It depends on how good Freddy is in lying. Also, if you say, why don't you just hide the whole night inside a charging station, I don't think it's very healthy to stay that long exposed to electric radiation. One more spot I would like to mention is the playboat outside the daycare in the atrium. If you didn't know, there's a secret hole on the back of the boat that someone uses as a hiding spot. There are snacks and plushies on the ground and even a television. It's not the best hiding spot because there are a lot of different props around this area. So if an animatronic or Fanny would go here, there is a big chance they check out the boat. So for the survival chance, I'll give it 70%. It's still very hidden. I know there are a lot more spots you could hide in for the night, but then I'll be talking forever and I need to go over to the next game. So if you know some spots in Security Breach that could be very safe to stay in, let me know in the comments. I'm going to skip Ruin since it's the same place as Security Breach, and now go over to Into the Pit. What's the best place to spend the night at in this pizzeria? We know there is no room that Spring Bonnie and the animatronics can't reach. Every room is accessible to them. I think the best chance for survival is the security office. There is only one door that connects to this room, but unfortunately you cannot lock it. You do have cameras to track the animatronics in this pizzeria. If they are about to enter the security office, you can hide in these lockers and wait till they go. You do have to be very quiet though when you're hiding, because Spring Bonnie is very good in listening and finding. I'll say there's a 60% chance for survival in this office. The biggest problem is Spring Bonnie. He's just too clever. You could also try to hide the whole night inside the ventilation. It's not a nice place to spend the night at, and it can make you claustrophobic. But the animatronics will have a hard time finding you. I think there's a 75% chance for survival in the ventilation. If you don't freak out, this spot can help you pass the night. The last game where we have to find the safest room is of course Secret of the Mimic. Now this place is quite huge. It's not bigger than the Pizzaplex, but there are enough rooms to choose from. The problem in this location is that we have to spend the night with the strongest and smartest animatronic. So hiding from him won't be that easy. The Mimic can almost open every door here, no matter if it's closed. And he also fits in the ventilation, so you can't hide in there. You could spend the night in the secret room behind the bookcase inside Edwin's office. But like I said, the Mimic can easily slam out the secure door. There is one thing the Mimic seems to struggle with all the time, and that's an elevator. For some reason, when you enter an elevator, you always escape from the Mimic. So what you could do is hop into one, go a few floors up, and then slam the handbrake. This could be a perfect hiding spot from the Mimic, and it's very hard to break in. Now the only problem here is that elevators in Secret of the Mimic aren't really reliable. If you put one for 6 hours on the handbrake, and then want to move again, there's a chance the elevator will fall down. So for its survival chance, I'll give it 80%. It all depends on the elevator's strength. Another spot you could try to hide in is the prototype Fazbear location. Yes, I know, both M1 and M2 are there, making it one of the most dangerous places. But what if you could convince M1 aka Fiona to helping you? If she's willing to protect you, you may have a chance to survive the night. M1 has full control of the prototype location, so she can close all the doors against M2. Now of course it's quite hard to get Fiona's trust. You'll probably first need to go to Edwin's house and talk to him, since that's what Fiona wants. And I think she will get very mad if we tell her that Edwin isn't there. But maybe she blames M2 for it and tries everything to kill it. I'll say there's a 50% chance for survival here. It all depends if Fiona wants to protect you and what she will do after knowing Edwin is probably dead. So these were all the locations I found the safest in each FNAF game. Let me know what rooms I missed in the comments. If you enjoyed the video, then why don't you just like the video and perhaps subscribe for more FNAF content. Also, if you're in the mood for another video, then click on one of the videos that pops up on your screen.